How did this elegant Brazilian become the player standing at the summit immediately before football entered a new age? In December 2007, Kaká claimed the Ballon d'Or with 444 points, finishing ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, two names that would dominate football's individual honors for the next 15 years. He was the last pure 10, a player who merged elegance with explosive attacking force at the highest level. What built this peak, and what made it the last of its kind? Ricardo Adzection dos Santos Leite was born in April 1982 in Brasilia, raised within a devout middle-class family. His father, a civil engineer, and his mother, a teacher, fostered a stable environment prioritizing both education and athletic development. This support allowed the young midfielder to focus entirely on his craft, earning entry into the Sao Paulo FC youth system at just 8 years old. He climbed rapidly through the junior ranks, demonstrating an innate elegance and composure on the ball. Yet, at 18, a sudden accident in a swimming pool fractured his spine, threatening to end his career before his senior debut. Recovery became his first true test. Through months of quiet, disciplined rehabilitation and deep personal faith, he made a complete recovery, returning to the pitch with a reinforced sense of purpose. In February 2001, the 18-year-old made his senior debut for Sao Paulo against São Caetano. He quickly established himself as a different kind of playmaker, scoring 12 goals in 27 appearances during his first season. Unlike the slow-tempo creators who historically dictated play from a standstill, this tall, elegant midfielder possessed a rare vertical drive. His breakout moment arrived in the final of the Torneo Rio-Sao Paulo against Botafogo. Entering the pitch as a second-half substitute with the match locked at 1-1, he scored twice in just 2 minutes to secure the title. The performance showed a prospect whose technical composure was permanently paired with forward threat. Brazil had discovered a spectacular talent, an attacking midfielder whose eyes were always locked on the opposition box. But while South America witnessed the rise of this explosive playmaker, Europe would soon reveal how devastating his vertical elegance could truly become. In August 2003, AC Milan secured the 21-year-old Brazilian prospect for a reported 8.5 million euros. He stepped into a highly demanding tactical culture, a league defined by rigorous defensive systems and populated by legendary champions. Yet, he adapted to Italy's physical intensity with startling ease. His vertical drive and spatial intelligence earned the immediate trust of manager Carlo Ancelotti, who deployed him in an advanced role. Showing immense composure, Kaká soon displaced Portuguese veteran Rui Costa in the starting lineup, operating brilliantly in the pocket of space between midfield and attack. The domestic proof of his rapid adaptation arrived quickly. He scored 10 league goals in his debut Serie A campaign, serving as the central offensive spark for Milan's 2003-2004 Scudetto triumph. He had conquered Italy, but a far greater stage awaited. Elegance alone wouldn't make him immortal. Europe's biggest competition would. Carlo Ancelotti structured his Milan team in a 4-3-2-1 shape, often called the Christmas tree. At the base of the midfield, Andrea Pirlo dictated the tempo, protected by the relentless physical presence of Gennaro Gattuso and Clarence Seedorf. This solid platform freed Kaká to completely redefine the attacking midfielder's role. Traditionally, a number 10 was a pause player, someone like Zinedine Zidane who slowed the game down, using supreme control and composure to orchestrate the offense from a standstill. Kaká did the opposite. He was a vertical weapon who thrived on acceleration, receiving the ball in the central or right half spaces, turning instantly and driving directly at defenders. Instead of waiting between defensive lines, the Brazilian dropped deep, gathered possession, and burst through the first wave of pressure with long, powerful strides. He carried the ball directly through the heart of the opposition midfield, bypassing opponents with raw pace instead of elaborate tricks, forcing defenders to make a choice. Once they committed, he either released an incisive through ball to Filippo Inzaghi or made a late, charging run into the box to finish the play himself. His style combined the creative vision of a classic playmaker with the physical explosiveness of a striker, turning possession into a rapid attack in seconds. On May 25, 2005, at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul, the young playmaker's vertical ascent hit a devastating barrier. By halftime of the Champions League final, Milan held a commanding 3-goal lead over Liverpool, their tactical supremacy absolute. Kaká's brilliant passing had dismantled the English defense, leaving European glory within immediate reach. But football has a way of shattering certainty. In 6 chaotic second-half minutes, the Italian giants conceded 3 times, watching their flawless evening unravel into an agonizing 3-3 deadlock. The match pushed through grueling extra time and into a penalty shootout. Under immense pressure, Kaká stepped up and calmly converted his spot kick, but his individual composure could not salvage the night. Milan fell 3-2 on penalties. The final whistle blew and the celebration belonged to another. Rather than crowning his spectacular rise, Istanbul left the young midfielder standing in the silent aftermath of a colossal defeat, facing a painful sense of unfinished business that would linger over Milan. The scars of Istanbul remained, but the 2006 to 2007 Champions League campaign offered an immediate path to redemption. Milan could no longer rely on reputation or slow possession. They needed a complete tactical shift, turning their midfield structure into direct forward momentum. At the very center of this transition stood Kaká. Now, the 24-year-old Brazilian carried the full weight of his team's offensive ambition. It raised a fundamental question. Could an elegant, graceful creator lead a winning European campaign when physical power was dominating the modern game? 2 years after the nightmare in Turkey, the midfielder prepared to return to the same stage, knowing he first had to deliver the performances that would forever transform his legacy. The Champions League knockout stage of the 2006 to 2007 season became the ultimate arena to prove this vertical style could dominate Europe. In the semi-final against Manchester United at Old Trafford, the Brazilian playmaker delivered a masterpiece. For his second goal of the night, he chased a long ball, flicked it cleanly over Gabriel Heinze, and nodded it past Patrice Evra as the two defenders collided, before calmly slotting his finish past Edwin van der Sar. Although Milan lost that first leg, 3-2, they dominated the return leg at the San Siro. Under a heavy Milan rain, Kaká scored the opening goal in a commanding 3-0 victory that secured their place in the final. He finished the European campaign with 10 goals, establishing himself as the tournament's top scorer. On May 23, 2007, Milan met Liverpool in Athens, seeking redemption for the heartbreak of 2 years prior. This night, the goals belonged to Filippo Inzaghi. Yet, Kaká's intelligence unlocked the English defense. In the 82nd minute, he received the ball in the center of the pitch, turned, and slipped a perfectly weighted pass through the defensive line, setting up Inzaghi to round the goalkeeper for Milan's second goal. The 2-1 victory sealed Milan's 7th European title. The collective redemption was complete, and the stage was now set for the individual accolades that would officially place Kaká at the absolute summit of world football. On December 2, 2007 in Paris, 96 journalists from around the globe delivered a historic verdict. The Ballon d'Or voting revealed an undisputed hierarchy for that single perfect season. Kaká claimed the trophy with 444 points, securing 78 first-place votes. Behind him stood a pair of rising talents who would soon dominate the sport. Cristiano Ronaldo finished second with 277 points, and Lionel Messi was third with 255. Standing at the podium, the Brazilian offered a characteristically grounded response, stating, "I thank God for this prize, which is the biggest any player can win, and also my wife and my parents." He expressed his gratitude to Milan and Brazil, acknowledging that individual glory was a reflection of collective strength. This moment was not a permanent verdict on 3 legendary careers, but a snapshot in time. It was the final peak conquered before the era of Ronaldo and Messi reshaped football's individual hierarchy. By 2009, the golden era in Italy was drawing to a close. Kaká joined Real Madrid for €65 million, arriving as the centerpiece of a new era. Yet, Spain brought unexpected challenges. Persistent physical setbacks disrupted his playing continuity, while intense competition for starting roles in a crowded midfield limited his minutes. There were still flashes of his classic grace, but reproducing the explosive, sustained power of his Milan peak proved difficult. A nostalgic return to Italy in 2013 yielded his 100th goal for Milan, followed by a pioneering chapter with Orlando City before he retired in 2017. These later struggles only heightened the magic of his peak, preserving it like a perfect snapshot in time. But while Kaká conquered the world through explosive vertical speed, another master of the 10 operated on pure composure. Zinedine Zidane dictated matches not with acceleration, but with paused rhythm and elegant geometry, leaving a quiet question. Which style truly defined the soul of the playmaker? Subscribe to Goal Uncovered for more cinematic documentaries uncovering football's greatest stories. The label of the last pure 10 is not a rigid historical boundary, but a tribute to a rare footballing convergence. It represents the moment before the modern game demanded relentless defensive work rates, a brief era when one player could unite technical grace with explosive vertical power. From his early years in Sao Paulo to the heartbreak of Istanbul, the redemption in Athens, and his Ballon d'Or triumph, Kaká's career was defined by direct, decisive creation. He did not simply dictate play, he accelerated it, breaking lines and finishing attacks with devastating speed. In the end, his legacy is not measured by decades of longevity, but by the absolute completeness of his peak, a perfect, fleeting snapshot of elegance in motion. While Kaká conquered space through explosive vertical acceleration, Zinedine Zidane mastered the pitch through tempo. Zidane's brilliance lay in his composure and technique, using a calculated pause to dictate when a match would speed up or slow down. Where the Brazilian was a direct charging spear, the Frenchman was a conductor orchestrating the game's entire movement. Both represented different ultimate expressions of midfield mastery. To understand the playmaker who controlled matches with pure geometry, watch our documentary on the Maestro. Subscribe to Goal Uncovered for more cinematic profiles of football's greatest icons. Today, modern tactics prioritize relentless systems over individual artistry, leaving the classic playmaker behind. Kaká remains the ultimate archetype of a bygone era, proof that explosive power and graceful beauty can coexist in a single, breathless run. As football grows more structured, his peak reminds us of what we lost when the game traded romance for efficiency.